Let's do this. All right, everyone, good morning. You know what time it is. This is Anthony with Puget Sound Stormwatch on Facebook and YouTube. Hoping we have a lot less issues today, technical-wise. So I'm going to wait for some viewers to get in here, and then we'll really start to get this coverage going, because we have a lot to cover today. So let me just start by sharing this to Facebook and X again. Okay, for those of you just tuning in, how are you guys doing today? Hopefully pretty good to start things out. There we go. First viewer, first like. Hello, thank you for joining in. Should have a much less troublesome stream today now that everything's warmed up and I'm used to the streaming format again. It's been a while since I've done something like this on YouTube. So right now I'm just making a post over on my Facebook blog, and I'm going to do the same thing on my X/Twitter. But while I'm doing that, also we're tracking some activity here in the southwest interior of the Puget Sound at the moment. Even some isolated showers popping up around SeaTac and Tacoma. Since the air is drier towards the ground, there's a good chance most of this will not reach the ground. But with heavier showers like one that just passed over Ton Field, a good chance you could feel a few raindrops as these slowly move to the west. Definitely getting some heavy rain with this one. I believe this is Onalaska area in Lewis County. Okay, we just got a new scan. Looks like the cell has weakened a little bit. I'm not seeing any lightning on it still. Let me just go back a few frames. So it's the last 20 minutes or so. So activity is moving to the northwest at this time. See the station at the Chehalis Centralia Airport. So I'm surprised to see most of that moisture is mixing down towards the ground. So that's a good thing if you want rain around here. 64 over 64, 100% relative humidity. Okay, let me just make sure I have the right link going here. It looks like we do. Okay, sweet. So the post is live on Facebook. Let me just make sure it takes us to the right site. So far in the weather world, not seeing any lightning strikes west of the Cascades in Washington. Quite a bit of activity in northwestern Oregon this morning, though. Yeah, west central Oregon here, too. Just this entire system has that textbook spin to it. So the center of low pressure in the upper levels of the atmosphere is somewhere over Portland at the moment. Expected to maybe slide up to the Olympic Peninsula. Models have been downtrending this scenario, though. And it may just have it sort of fizzle out over here on the coast. But the main story is still well off the coastline over here. Models have been trending this system that's way out here back a little farther west, which actually may improve our chances of seeing thunderstorms in the Seattle area Saturday and Sunday. See, this is what the activity looks like from the Camino Island radar. A little bit different. The Langley Hill coastal radar is a little closer, so it's going to pick up the echoes a little better. So let's go look at the Langley Hill radar, see what it has to say for Southwest Washington. Hey, Jaw George, welcome back to the stream. Nice to see you again, my friend. Driving I-5 Seattle to Darrington, muggy 80 degrees. Oh yeah, so the nearest station to you is the Arlington Airport right here. 74 over 61, so not super moist, but the dew points in the 60s are still quite impressive for this area. So yes, I agree. Definitely muggy up there. There's nowhere near 100% relative humidity, but still quite muggy. Okay, refreshing the Facebook page one more time to make sure this link is valid. I think we're good. Just a little concerned because I didn't see the pop-up link on my page. I'm going to try copying this URL one more time. See if this works. I also got to post to X too, because I have a pretty good following on X. Close to 400 followers. I got to make sure I don't forget about them too. Yoke. Oh. Just lost a follower on Facebook. All right. Let's go ahead and try this. There we go. Back to the radar real quick. So lots of scattered shower activity around the South Sound, the Southwest interior at this time. Looks like some showers are starting to cross over Stampede Pass. These should all be moving to the northwest. Yeah, so slightly different direction than last night just because the placement of this upper level trough is a little bit farther north now. Okay, ton fueled 72 over 64. JBLM is 73 over 58. It seems like those low-level moisture parcels are starting to saturate a little more, which is good. That just means less of a chance for rain to evaporate before it hits the ground. We still desperately need the precipitation from this event. So Olympia area 64 over 57. So I'd anticipate Olympia getting some rain with this system soon. Currently, reports of rain from Grand Mound and Tenino, surrounding areas. Heard lots of rain from Onalaska this morning as well. A couple reports from Onalaska, Cinnabar area, even Chehalis as well. just waiting to see if we get any isolated lightning strikes or whatnot from these storms. These showers, I should say. Models have been hinting at some stronger convective activity to move in early tomorrow morning. However, some model solutions have trended away from this now. Although we'll be watching Pacific County really early tomorrow morning to see if anything happens. And then by afternoon time, we may have some isolated thunderstorms move up into the Bremerton area. Maybe even as far east as Seattle. Let's see, the range of motion would be from southwest to northeast, most likely. Okay, and we just got that follower back. So current follower count on Facebook is 19,645. We are 355 followers away from the big 20K. We're also hanging on at 350 subscribers on YouTube. So we did hit 350 last night. My goal is to hopefully be at or over 400 by the end of the storm event. Not necessarily the end of today. I'm watching a couple areas down here for intensification. If we can get a little bit of a pop from the ground on these storms, may be able to help erode that capping inversion in place that could get us some surface-based activity going. That would be the best chance of seeing lightning and any thunderstorm in general over the Puget Sound, would be getting that impulse from the ground. Since the nature of this event is mostly elevated, which means all of the convection is over 10,000 feet in the air. Yeah, so right now, nothing north of the King-Pierce County line other than a couple of light showers that are hardly showing up on radar. So the center of this low is right around northwest Oregon here. You can tell by this counterclockwise swirl going on here. Hitting the wrong button there again. So Olympia and vicinity, seems like rain's on the way in the next hour or so. Seeing mostly cloudy skies right outside the office here in Milton. Maybe a little bit of isolated smoke up there as well. But still not a single drop of rain here in the Milton area. Checking the Facebook on mobile one more time, making sure. I don't know if it posted the right link to Facebook, so let me try this one more time. Okay, there we go. The link is now valid. I think I had an invalid link going there for a second. It should be fixed now. Okay, Carrie Booge, I hope we see some rain in Olympia. That's looking more and more likely, Carrie. Thank you for tuning into the stream. Right now, the greatest area of rain is over Maytown, just to your south-southwest. This is moving to the northwest, so I'd imagine if you're not at least seeing showers here in the next half hour, that you should be getting a few raindrops here in the near future. depending on how saturated the surface parcel is once these showers come in. Looks like the gap between the temperature and dew point starting to close, which is good. That's what you want to see. Down here in Chehalis, the relative humidity is as close to 100% as you're going to get. So any rain that does fall over there should not evaporate before hitting the ground. I can tell some of this activity is weakening as it rolls off the Cascades because that's the main form of lift that you get around here with elevated thunderstorms. Because we have a lot of scattered cloud cover and warm air just above the ground that's keeping the air from rising. That's what's really limiting our lowland thunderstorm potential today. Packwood again got that strong thunderstorm that I was covering last night. Seems like you got some rain in that area as well right now. Storms were moving out of the northeast at only 5 to 10 miles per hour. Really slow movers, really slow movers again this morning and afternoon. So Morton, Mossy Rock area, you'll be getting some showers, maybe even isolated lightning, isolated thunderclap, I should say, with this. Can't guarantee any lightning today. The conditions are ripe over the mountains, but not necessarily the lowlands and foothills. But the NWS in Seattle has highlighted the chance for a couple storms to drift off of the mountains if we can keep up this flow out of the southeast. Marysville temp drop 76. Okay, thank you for your report. Let me go check out the Arlington station one more time. Yeah, there's no station for Marysville, but the closest one says 74 degrees over 61 dew point. So, pretty close. But yes, what you want to see is either a humidity increase or a temperature decrease for your best chance of rainfall with a setup like this. The smaller you can get this gap between the two numbers, the better you'll be. And Latina Geek says it's super cloudy in North Gate. Yeah, let me go and pull up the satellite real quick. Once again, using windy.com, so hang on, we're going to transition you guys right now. So satellite shows some clearing up here in the North Sound, isolated high clouds, but this is the area of spin right here as being highlighted. Let's put this into motion with smoothing on real quick. And yeah, that low center is a little bit northwest of Portland at the moment. And just slowly moving to the northwest. So this will bring all of the activity out of the southeast or east around the Cascades. And this is what could give us that storm drift off of the Cascades. My friends are going camping this weekend, so I'm a bit nervous for them up north. Yeah, so the greatest area of concern up north is probably going to be Saturday from Mount Vernon up through Vancouver and beyond. Some model solutions have been hinting at prolific lightning happening out in this area and maybe off the Cascades of Whatcom, Skagit, and Snohomish counties. But model trends have since brought the low a little bit farther west. And this is the area of interest right here. Yeah, this upper level low is undergoing some intensification several hundred miles off the coast right now. And this is forecast to sort of hang up right off the coast here and bounce back off the coast into sea. And then that ridge is expected to redevelop along Washington and keep the heat dome back in place for an unknown amount of time right now. But while we're on that topic, let's go look at some weather models real fast. Show you guys what I'm talking about here. Let me think of the best way of showing this real quick. I think 500 millibar humidity is probably going to be the best bet. So this is the new run, but I think if we go back a couple runs, okay, so let's go back one day in time. Show you guys what I'm talking about. So this is today's system, hanging up over Northwest Oregon, Southwest Washington, and it just sort of drifts off to the north over Vancouver Island and parts of Western British Columbia. And then this is our main weather maker that originally was forecast to hang up over the Olympic Peninsula and then shoot back out to sea. But if we go a day ahead of time to the latest one, the few profound differences. So see, it has that low not even making it onto the coast, and then moving back out to sea slower than previously forecast. So if anything, the placement of this low being off the coast will actually enhance our chances of seeing lightning around the Puget Sound. Because what you really want, see, this thing has a slight negative tilt to it, so if you were to draw a line across the axis of the trough here, if it's facing from northwest to southeast, you have what's called a negatively tilted trough. And this gives some extra oomph to thunderstorm development. And of course, the placement you really want to be around the southeast to eastern part of this jet streak right here. And you want to be on the exit region of this where the winds diverge as you go around the low. So this divergence creates a void in the atmosphere that induces lift from the surface to fill that air void. Because when there's low pressure, the air is always going to try to pull high pressure to get an equilibrium in air pressure. So air moves in the form of wind from high pressure to low pressure, always. And so I feel like this position of this upper level trough would be more favorable for seeing scattered convection in the lowlands. This is Sunday at 5 a.m. So really, best shot, let me come up with a range real quick. Best shot for lowland thunderstorms will probably be late Saturday morning, early Saturday afternoon. Perhaps all the way through maybe Monday morning at the earliest before this dry air really takes hold of the region. And looking into the extended a little bit, may have a little bit of an extra moisture kick. This is my first time seeing this too. We could have, let me see if this translates to a surface low. Yeah, kind of. It's sort of a weak setup, but we may have a, this is fantasy land because we're 258 hours in the future. But we may get clipped by a surface low pressure system here that could bring a cold front through. In that case, that would kick up the winds around here, since it's a surface-based feature. Let's go look at some height anomalies to see this see the better picture. Yeah, see it has this ridge forming again, and then it starts to back off as we go to the end of the first week of September, and then multiple chances for troughing after that. See this massive upper level shortwave trough coming through here. This is Monday, September 8th at 5 a.m. Again, there's a good chance this doesn't verify. But see, even another encounter with a trough there. We might be getting some signals that the fall storm train is near. That's what this is trying to say right now. If we look at the AI forecast system, pretty similar stories so far. Although it's showing less of an influence from that trough and maybe pushing it back a few more days compared to what the European deterministic model is showing. So a little bit of disagreement between the AIFS and the European. And let's put this into comparison mode real quick if it'll let me. No, it'll not. So, okay. Gonna take a water break, guys. be back in just a second. Okay, let's go look at some precipitable water. So see, this is the monsoonal moisture being pulled up by our trough today. And then the trough that comes in on Saturday is going to be pulling moisture in from the Pacific. And then that bounces back out to sea. And a couple of the... Yeah, this is the AIFS. So the AIFS within the last week has been hinting at a full-scale atmospheric river event. However, it's starting to bring it south and a little bit less moisture spread. So let me switch back to the deterministic and see what the deterministic has to say. So yeah, it's still kind of hinting at that atmospheric river signal, but it's pulling it much farther south and keeping the broadest area of moisture well off the coast. So I'll have to be watching this closely because this is going into the second week of September. This is halfway through the second week of September, so this is completely fantasy at this point, but still interesting to pick up on the trends that some forecast models are showing. Alright, jaw volume. Is the volume too high or too low? Okay, I think some of the problem was I might have not been talking loud enough into the mic because I do have a noise gate enabled. So if I'm not dropped way low, okay, thank you for that. Is it any better now? Test 1 2 3. Yeah, the volume's looking good on my end. Input capture is hitting -10 decibels. That's where I have it capped. So if it goes a little bit lower, the gate may sort of chop it out. That's probably what you were hearing. I'm just sort of trying to save my voice here for the next few days because it's probably going to be a wild ride going into this weekend. So I got to make sure my voice doesn't start cutting out. But hopefully that should have fixed it. Just checking to see if everything's better on the say again. Okay. Yeah, try turning up the gain a bit on my mic. It'll probably pick up a little bit of background noise, but if that fixes the gate on the audio, then that's the way I'm gonna do it. Okay, so on this stream, we have hit 25 views, 2 stream likes. Okay, so I think we're good. So what I want to read too is this recent forecast discussion from NWS Seattle. Just a few small corrections compared to the previous one. So warm conditions will persist today. Thunderstorms are in the forecast through Thursday. They posted red flag warnings for the Cascades and Eastern Olympics because there's the risk of dry lightning today as well. So slight uptick in temperatures and drier for Friday. Friday is going to be that transition day between storms where this upper level low that's over us right now moves up north, allows a little bit of ridging to fill in, and then that upper level trough off the coast moves in, shoves that ridge out of the way, and then the ridge comes back, shoves the trough back out to the coast, and fills back in again. The question is, how long will that ridge be in place? Right now, it's too soon to tell. So here's a recent update right here. Radar remains active with convection in the south interior this morning, showing showers over Lewis County down towards the Columbia River. A slight chance of thunder this morning, 10 to 20%, so not great, but a 20 to 30% chance in the Cascades and Eastern Olympics. So it's expected to consolidate to just the Cascades going into the afternoon. So this is what some of the models are pointing out here. So reflectivity is showing some potential for a few cells moving onshore into the mainland on Thursday morning. And I posted that to the Facebook page as well, showing like, hey, models were showing we could have a little cluster of storms going on really early in the morning, possibly before sunrise for south and west of Olympia. And then maybe some sunrise, thunder, and lightning in some areas south and west of Tacoma tomorrow morning. But the models have been sort of downtrending this solution. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here in just a second. Okay, so the 18Z NAM is just rendering, so we won't be using that. We'll be using the 12Z. This is the 5 a.m. model run. And see, it was picking up on some of this cellular activity here east of Olympia early this morning. Seems like the timing was a little bit off. So showing the shower activity just south of Olympia, moving off to the northwest. And then it brings some of the shower activity into the South Sound later on this afternoon around sunset. And then maybe some steady rainfall for a little bit here south of Seattle. But I'm not too sure if any of this, most of this is going to reach the ground. Just depends on how dry the air is down towards the surface. And see maybe some isolated thunderstorm activity, northern Whatcom County, Abbotsford area of BC. This is 7 p.m. Thursday, so 7 p.m. tomorrow. And then you see that the activity just kind of dissipates. And that's the transition period between storm systems. So this is when the upper level trough over us right now begins to move north into BC. It pulls all the moisture with it. And then it goes completely dry. Now, the HER3KM, on the other hand, shows a different solution. And the 18Z just got done rendering, so this is the 48-hour model rather than the 18 hours. So you see here, 0 out of 18 frames, and then this transitions to 48. So we still have 3 frames to render, but it doesn't make much of a difference. Okay, starting to see maybe some activity pick up over central and eastern Lewis counties, so I'll transition back to the radar in a second. The HER3KM seems to be doing an alright job portraying this. It may be a little bit on the lower end of the scale, but overall on timing it's doing pretty good right now. So it shows maybe some isolated thunderstorm potential near North Bend and Snoqualmie. Maybe Enumclaw area as well. This is 1 p.m. today, so this is in the next 15 minutes. This most likely will not verify, but just gives us an idea of what could be coming, because this is ideally plus or minus 1 to 2 hours. See, maybe another strong pop-up cell down here in Skamania County at 5 p.m. This is around the time when the NWS says the activity should consolidate to just the Cascade Crest. You see it's showing quite a bit of shower activity here, even as early as 2 a.m. But now the HRRR is not showing any of that activity coming up through Pacific County, moving from southwest to northeast. Let me see if it shows this in the 12Z. Sort of, yes. Much lesser scale. It was even showing some thunderstorm activity over the Central Olympics at 3 o'clock tomorrow. But see, the new model run 6 hours later has downtrended that activity. It's kind of sort of a back and forward cat and mouse game with the models to see what's going to verify and what's not. The HRRR 3KM even has some isolated shower activity west of the Puget Sound as we go into that transitionary, that transition period, Friday morning going into Friday afternoon. So see, so this is probably the best chance to see an isolated thunderstorm south of Seattle. This is 7 a.m. in the morning tomorrow. We go to lightning flash density. It's certainly showing lightning flashes around Western Washington at this time. If we go back to the beginning of this model run, it's showing extremely isolated lightning flashes, if any at all, here in the southwest interior, Olympia southward. And then it brings a lot of this lightning activity in through central King County along the I-90 corridor. Not quite sure if that's going to verify because right now it's not showing any precipitation north of Tacoma at the moment. Speaking of that, let's go back to the radar real quick. I'm going to take a drink. Everything still looks stable outside. We see the shower activity is still moving northwest at a very slow rate, probably 5 to 10 miles per hour at most. A lot of heavy shower activity near Mount Rainier, just to the south of Mount Rainier. Possible heavy showers on US 12 between Randall and Packwood right now. Heavy shower activity going on, between Morton and the Ethel area right now along US 12. This could easily bring some heavy shower activity back to Onalaska again. Seems like Onalaska has been getting some pretty good rainfall the last couple hours from the reports I've gotten. So this is Cinnabar and Onalaska area. Should be getting some heavy rain here in the next few minutes. And then if you're still watching from the Olympia area, your best chance for any showers will be coming up here in the next few minutes. Got some embedded showers here crossing I-5, all the way from Grand Mound up near DuPont and Lakewood. These are once again moving to the northwest, slowly to the northwest. Some isolated shower activity approaching Puyallup and South Hill. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll get a few raindrops from this. I'm a little bit on the north side of this, up in this area right here. Okay, few lightning strikes out here. This is way southeast of Madras, Oregon. So most of the activity is confined to eastern Oregon at this time. We did have some activity way out here in Douglas County earlier. Excuse me, that's Lane County. This is Lane County. This is Douglas County. We were watching some lightning strikes out here in Lane County earlier. So the center of the low is probably somewhere over the Columbia River at this point. So you can see it's coming out of the southeast here, but it's coming out of the northwest here. So it's this counterclockwise turn over here that's going to give us the best chance of thunderstorms today. And tomorrow even. So I gotta say, I'm not seeing real good model agreement with the I-90 corridor because those models earlier were showing the shower activity strongest along the I-90 corridor here. So once again, the high-res models not doing so good with this setup. There's a good chance that it could overperform, but I feel like there's a chance it'll underperform just based on previous history with events like this. Yeah, the humidity gap is starting to close here at Ton Field and South Hill, so I have a feeling that a lot of this area is going to be seeing rain here very shortly. Maybe just a quick little shower that lasts 15 to 20 minutes, but at this point, we'll take any rain we can get. We'll see what Mount Rainier has to do with this shower activity here. We were seeing yesterday a lot of orographic enhancement from the showers and thunderstorms moving over mountain peaks. Creates a temporary burst in lift that lifts that moisture into the root of the storm and causes it to intensify for a short amount of time. We had one of those little pop-up storms over Mount Rainier yesterday afternoon that had an advisory on it for a short time too. Bear with me, just checking Facebook real quick. Okay. It looks like the message got out there. That's good. Okay, anyone watching right now, looks like there's 6 of you watching. Do you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding today or any other day this week and weekend involving the storm potential? Feel free to post in the comments below if you have any comments, questions, or concerns about this. Okay, checking some activity around here. Alright, I'm gonna go switch back to the satellite image. So you can clearly see the center of this low right up here in northwest Oregon crossing into southwest Washington. And these are the little pop-up showers. See, very low top showers at the moment. So I don't expect much in terms of lightning coverage from this. Perhaps better chances down here off the Oregon coast west of Tillamook. If you switch it to infrared, this will show you the temperatures of the cloud tops. So the lower the temperatures are, which means the more yellow in color these are, then the taller the cloud tops are. This is a good way of showing just how strong the storms or showers are in retrospect. You see, the broadest activity is off the coast here this morning. Quite a bit of monsoonal activity going on in the northern Rockies still. It seems like the majority of this monsoonal moisture from the south has already advected to the north. And then this is our area of interest coming up Saturday and Sunday. So this trough's going to move north, and then this trough's going to move northeast into our area. Most likely park either off the coast or over the Olympic Peninsula, hang around for 18 to 24 hours, and then bounce back out to sea. So depending on the placement of where this trough sets up, it could determine who gets lightning and who doesn't this weekend. So yeah, still seeing some areas of clearing up north. Few high clouds, maybe a little bit of smoke from the Bear Gulch fire. It looks like a lot of this overcast cloud cover is starting to move north into Seattle and areas north of Seattle. Quite a bit of clearing down here over Portland. So it's possible that if we can get enough clearing and enough heating of the ground, may be able to get some surface-based convection going down here in southwest Washington and northwest Oregon potentially. But it looks like the cloud cover is going to be hindering a lot of activity here, especially over the South Sound. Alright, still not seeing lightning. That's a good sign. Yeah, so Olympia area, you should be getting rain at this time. So yeah, some stronger activity around Yelm, near Capitol Peak and Olympia. Maybe some shower activity between Steilacoom and Lakewood. It's all moving northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Have to watch this area near Mount Adams. Could be seeing a little bit of orographic enhancement from Mount Adams for this cell here, so it'll probably begin to die out in a few minutes. Yeah, see lots of lightning popping up here east of California. These surface level winds shows not much happening. The little maybe coastal eddy off of Quileute. Let's switch bring the altitude up. So let's go to 500 millibars, or about 18,000 feet. And you can see where the center of the spin is, almost directly over Tillamook. And then this is our next system, way off the coast here. Start putting this into motion. Let's watch what the European has to say. There's extremely slow northern progression of this upper level low feature here. Dude, this is already 10 p.m. tonight and it really hasn't moved very much. Then the center of it starts to become a little sloppy. The trough begins to fall apart quite a bit, and then it'll move north along Vancouver Island. And watch as this trough starts to close in here. This is noon tomorrow. So by tomorrow afternoon, we resume our full onshore flow pattern, which should hopefully help to dissipate some of that smoke aloft. And by this time, the trough that's over us has almost completely fallen apart. But this bad boy's closing in, and quickly. Okay, and then Friday, this is the start of our sort of relaxing period. We could have some of this ridging fill back in. Ridging is characterized by these clockwise moving winds. It's the counterclockwise moving winds that indicates low pressure. So this area of low pressure has cut off from the main jet stream and is sort of just floating on its own now, on a direct collision course for the Pacific Northwest. So I'm gonna skip ahead to Saturday at midnight. Now, it'll really depend on where the areas of strongest winds aloft, shown in the blue contour here, where those will set up. Because if it sets up directly over the Puget Sound and stays there, then we're going to have a pretty good chance of seeing widespread lightning on Saturday. So this is 1 p.m. Saturday. Starting to get that strong southerly flow aloft over Seattle and areas near it. And then this is where it starts to stall a bit. So the European has the center well off the coast, which would stall the area of strongest divergent winds aloft over the central Puget Sound. So I really like what the European is showing on this run. And let's just put this into comparison with a few other ones as well. So I'm going to go back to Saturday at 6 p.m. compared to the GFS. GFS has it a little bit farther south, but still strong winds aloft across much of southwest Washington. The German model, the Icon, has it similar to the European. And we start to go into the high-res models, which will sort of cut off this region right here. So just bear with me if you see Canada get cut off here. And I guess I realize we're too far out for the high resolution models, so we're only in range of these three. The European, the American, and the German. But the German and the European are lining up, and the GFS is close. But if we average out these results, then we can say, we can make an inference that the best area to see thunderstorms in the lowlands specifically is going to be south and west of Tacoma. So in this area, along the I-5 corridor. So probably Olympia down to Castle Rock, Kelso, Longview. Because before, when this low center was pressured up, or when this low pressure area was centered up near the Olympics, it gave the Vancouver, BC area and Bellingham area the best shot of seeing widespread thunderstorms. But that does not appear to be the case anymore. And then as we go through Sunday, it still just has this low parked off the coast, and it's just giving us round after round after round. And then it's not till Sunday night and early Monday morning when it really starts to back off towards the coast and bounce back out to sea. And then what happens after this is kind of a wild card. Looks like maybe a favorable ridging pattern setting up here by midweek. And then we'll be watching this later on next week, even though it's in fantasy land, because that could be a signal for the atmospheric river moving in. We have a really, really strong upper level trough northwest of Haida, Hawaii. And then this area of moisture that's predicted to come into California now. Originally, it was showing an atmospheric river signal for up here along the Washington coast. It seems to have shifted pretty far south now. And then we have this separate area of low pressure that could bring a cold front in. Let's go back towards the surface now. Yeah, it shows this front along here. This is about 10 days away, I think. Interesting that the Europeans picking up this model trend. And it shows that front sort of move into the northwest parts of Washington and Vancouver Island. But, you know, at this point, we're just looking at completely fantasy. So that should be taken with a huge, huge grain of salt. Go look at the subscriber count. Still hanging on at 350. So we are at the 19Z. It's not finished rendering yet. So let me pull up a point sounding for this time. So it's according to the it's according to the HER 3KM. This is 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Let's pull up this little isolated cell in northern Pierce County. Not very much going on with it. The most unstable Cape parcel is 145 joules per kilogram, but negative 79 joules per kilogram of inhibition, and extremely shallow lapse rates. Not a great wind shear profile whatsoever. Not looking good for that area at that time. As we go forward in time, you can see that equilibrium layer starts to rise and that level of free convection starts to fall. That's what you want. You want a greater distance between these two. So see, we have quite a bit of elevated instability, but it's above that 850 millibar layer, so greater than 5,000 feet above the ground. Not as great moisture content. And see this little red line right here, this is the warm nose. So this is really going to keep the surface-based activity at bay. But the most unstable Cape parcel is 836 joules per kilogram and negative 92 convective inhibition. Slightly better lapse rates, nearing 7 degrees Celsius per kilometer at the mid and upper levels. Then this is for northern Pierce County. This is valid at 19Z on Thursday. So this is noon Thursday. We would have a better shot of seeing thunderstorms around this area if we can have a storm take advantage of this instability profile here. But it's really just a matter of having the right lift. We have the moisture. We might as well have the instability. Can we get a lifting mechanism to take off? Most likely this won't be the case unless a storm were to drift off the Cascades and move into this environment. See, the lapse rates are starting to steepen here. The low-level lapse rates are over 8 degrees Celsius per kilometer. Not a great shear profile still. Warm temperatures and dropping humidity. Appears maybe the monsoonal moisture is starting to be pulled a little bit farther to the north at this time. .5 degrees Celsius per kilometer low-level lapse rates, which is merely incredible. Starting to get the marginal severe hazard type here too. Then again, this is completely hypothetical at this point. I have a feeling we won't have enough lift to take advantage of this environment. It's funny because I was seeing more lift and less instability days ago, and now it seems to be more instability and less lift. It's interesting to see we have the marginal severe possible hazard type now. But yeah, 1,144 joules per kilogram of both surface and most unstable Cape. Even the mixed layer Cape is over 900 joules per kilogram, but quite a bit of inhibition going on here. So it appears that the upper level moisture curve is a little bit more saturated than it was before. Low level though, you see there's some good low level vertical mixing going on here, so some dry and warm air. Not sufficient for surface-based activity. And then it just kind of falls off. It'd be really nice to see something take advantage of this environment, but it's almost certainly not going to happen. You just do not have the right amount of lift at this moment. Because see, by the time we get into that range where the instability is most sufficient, the moisture disappears. But then we can start to see our next system pull into the radar range here. This is 18Z Friday, so this is 11 a.m. Friday. We can really start to see our next storm maker move into range here. Yeah, you can see those high clouds well ahead of the storm system moving in. by Friday as well. So yeah, so this area of spin is our current system. And then this area of spin is the future system, which is looking really enticing now. Now switch back to radar scope. You can start to see Mount Rainier blocking the radar beam from the Camino Island radar. This is not rain, this is all radar junk, so ignore all of this. Temperature's starting to go up here in Chehalis. See, 60 over 59 at Hoquiam. 70 over 58 now at Fort Lewis. Temperature in Arlington is up to 76. So 76 over 61. Still seeing some areas of heavy rain showers northwest of Packwood, moving to the northwest. Okay, guys. Probably gonna have to wrap up this stream here in a few minutes, just because it's been over an hour and I haven't had any more than 6 viewers at a time. Not much going on in the comments, so I'm guessing it's probably just a poor time to do a stream right now. I would like to do another stream later on, but this time exclusive to Facebook. Just depending on how things go. I was originally going to do a simulcast stream, so to Facebook and YouTube at the same time, but it was just going to take too long to set up. And besides, I had to get something to eat earlier, so had to fill my stomach first before doing this. So I believe with all of that being said, I'm going to wrap it up on YouTube for today. I'll be keeping a close eye on these areas of showers. And I'll be posting updates to Facebook regularly. So if you guys are interested, if you have Facebook, look me up at Puget Sound Stormwatch on Facebook. And that's about that. Not getting any new reports of rain around the area at the moment. So with all of that, I think I'm going to wrap up the stream for this afternoon. So I appreciate everyone that came in, everyone that commented, liked, shared. Unfortunately, didn't net any subscribers today, but that's completely okay. It's the middle of the week, school starting up soon. It's completely understandable. There's a really great chance that I stream on Saturday and Sunday too with the next system. So I have a feeling that those will be much more efficient streams and much more successful as well. So, yeah. My name's Anthony. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm the host and founder of Puget Sound Stormwatch on Facebook and YouTube. I'll look into streaming on Facebook later on today, but I'm not 100% sure about that. So, we'll see you guys later. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you guys for the next one.